Okay, so you gave us this research paper, thousands of AI authors on the future of AI, and wow, the title really doesn't do it justice.
Right.
It's like we're getting to listen in on a conversation between the people who are actually building the future.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible snapshot. They got 2,778 AI researchers to take part in this survey.
2,778. That's what, like basically every AI researcher on the planet?
Well, not every researcher, but this wasn't just anybody. These were the folks who were presenting at all the top AI conferences last year. We're talking about the people who are really pushing the boundaries of what AI can
The
do.
ones who are going to be making headlines a year from now.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are they saying? What did they find?
Well, so one of the things that really jumped out was this whole concept of high-level machine intelligence, or HLMI.
HLMI. Catchy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful. Basically, it's the idea of a point where AI surpasses human capabilities in pretty much every way.
Yeah.
Not just at specific tasks, but like learning, adapting, reasoning, everything.
So like the ultimate AI, basically. The brain in a jar scenario.
Exactly.
And they're saying there's like a 50-50 chance we get there by 2047. I mean, that's surprisingly soon.
Yeah, it's definitely closer than a lot of people realize.
Right.
And what's even wilder is how quickly they think AI could start mastering very specific tasks. Some of them even in the next few years.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, by 2028, they're saying AI could be writing code for full websites, composing hit songs.
Hold on. AI writing a hit song by 2028. That's like next year's Grammy Awards, not the future of technology.
I know, right? And that's what I think makes this research so fascinating. We're not just talking about AI as a tool anymore, but as a creator in its own right. Like imagine a world where AI is composing symphonies or writing screenplays, even designing entire fashion lines. It really makes you question what it even means to be creative. You know?
Yeah. I'm already imagining the award acceptance speeches. I'd like to thank the algorithm that wrote this song. But okay, so AI writing a hit song, that's wild. But then they're saying automating entire jobs will actually take much longer, even if, technically, the AI can do all the parts. Like, they think an AI could write a best-selling novel years before it could, like stack shelves in a bookstore.
Right. And I think it really highlights the difference between an AI mastering specific tasks and actually being able to fully automate these complex jobs that often involve things like physical dexterity, social intelligence, thinking on your feet in really nuanced ways. AI might be able to replicate tasks in controlled environments, but the real world is messy and unpredictable, and we're a long way from AI being able to navigate that, especially when it comes to interacting with people.
So we've got AI potentially winning Grammys, writing bestsellers, but when it comes to like actually stacking those bestsellers on a shelf, that's a whole other story. Makes you wonder if the timelines actually say something about how we value different kinds of work.
Right? Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Maybe the jobs that seem the most basic to us, the ones that need really fine motor skills or genuine human interaction, those might be the ones that are hardest for AI to truly replicate in the end.
Right. Like, what about all those jobs that really rely on that human touch? Teaching, therapy, even something like being a judge in a courtroom. Are those ever going to be roles we feel okay about handing over to an algorithm, even if it theoretically could?
It seems like the researchers think those are much further down the road when it comes to full automation. Like even if an AI could do the skills part, there's just a huge social and ethical dimension to consider. Trusting an AI to, say, optimize traffic flow, that's one thing, but trusting it to make life-altering decisions in a courtroom, whole different ballgame.
Totally.
Okay.
I might trust an algorithm to pick a good movie, but my retirement plan, I don't know about that. But okay, so this whole conversation about AI and jobs, it makes you think about the bigger picture, you know? We're talking about a future with this high-level machine intelligence where AI isn't just better at certain tasks, it's potentially outthinking us on every level. There have to be risks that come with that, right?
That's definitely the other side of the coin here. And while a lot of the researchers are optimistic, 68% actually said they were positive about the long-term impacts of this HLMI.
Okay, so most of them aren't ready to welcome our robot overlords just yet.
Right, exactly. But the interesting thing is, even among those optimists, almost half of them said there's at least a 5% chance of really bad outcomes. And we're talking like really bad, including human extinction.
Hold up, a 5% chance of human extinction. That's not exactly comforting. That's like knowing there's a 1 in 20 chance your plane's going to crash. Makes you think twice. So what are we doing to deal with those risks? What about this AI safety research the paper keeps mentioning?
Yeah, that's a huge area of focus. And it's not just about stopping some Hollywood robot uprising. It's about making sure AI is built responsibly from the beginning,
Yeah.
putting safeguards in place so we don't end up with these unintended consequences down the line.
So less about stopping the Terminator and more about making sure the algorithms we're using today don't accidentally create a dystopia by, like, next Tuesday.
Exactly. It's about thinking ahead, anticipating potential problems, and actually building ethical considerations into how we develop AI. And that's where this research gets really interesting, because it highlights a bunch of concerns that are very much near future problems. And I'm not just talking about the distant threat of some super intelligent AI.
So it's not just this far off future where we have to worry about AI becoming, like, self-aware or something. The stuff we need to be thinking about ethically, it's already here.
Yeah, pretty much. And what's really striking is how many of these ethical challenges, they're already playing out in the real world. The research has called out a few things specifically, like how AI could make inequality worse, the risks of mass surveillance that uses AI, the whole problem of misinformation, especially with these deep fakes that are getting harder and harder to spot.
Okay, a lot to unpack there. Let's start with AI making inequality worse. How does that even work?
Well, think about it. More and more algorithms are making decisions, right? From whether you get a loan to even what jobs you get interviewed for. If those algorithms are trained on data that's already biased, then all they're going to do is keep making things even more unequal.
Right, right. Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
we've already seen this with those facial recognition systems, the ones that have a harder time accurately identifying people with darker skin tones. Shows you even when an algorithm seems neutral on the surface, if it's built on biased data, that bias gets baked right in.
Yeah.
And often the consequences are really serious.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so then there's the mass surveillance thing. I feel like we've seen enough dystopian sci-fi to know that never ends well.
Yeah, it's a valid concern for sure. But the thing is, with AI, you can analyze mountains of data so fast. I'm talking about everything from security camera footage to what people are doing on social media. And AI can find patterns in that data we'd never even notice,
So it's like giving governments and corporations like the ultimate surveillance tool.
basically. And
Yeah.
that has some really serious implications for privacy. Not to mention what it could mean for free speech for anyone who disagrees with whoever's in charge.
Yeah, pretty bleak when you put it like that. And as if that wasn't enough, then you've got these deepfakes getting more and more realistic every day. How are we supposed to know what's real anymore when seeing isn't believing?
It's one of the most worrying things about this tech, for sure. Because as AI gets more sophisticated, it's going to get harder and harder to tell the difference between what's real and what's completely made up. And that's a huge problem for everything. I'm talking about how we talk about politics, what we read in the news, even our personal relationships. If you can't trust what you see.
Yeah, it's like the foundation of how we understand the world just crumbles away.
Exactly.
So where do we go from here? I mean, the researchers themselves were kind of split on whether faster progress in AI is good or bad for humanity, which honestly makes sense. Feels like a no-win situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's going to be a debate for a while, that's for sure. But I think what this research really drives home is
Wow.
that we don't get to sit this one out. We can't just wait and see what happens with AI. We have to be involved in shaping how it's developed, make sure it lines up with our values, that it's actually used to make things better for everyone, not just...
Not just make things better for the people who are already doing pretty well.
Right. It's got to be for everybody.
So what you're saying is this isn't just a conversation for, like, the tech people to have amongst themselves. This is something everyone needs to be aware of, to be a part of.
100%. Because the future of AI, it's not being decided in some lab somewhere. It's happening right now with every choice we make, every conversation we have. And I think this research just really shows how important it is that we're having those conversations right now before it's too late to change course.
It's like we're all coding the future, even if we don't realize it. Every decision we make, every action we take, it's all part of the algorithm. Something to think about, right?
Absolutely.
Well, on that note, we're going to have to wrap things up for today. But for everyone listening, next time you're using AI, whether it's your smart speaker or, asking for movie recommendations or whatever, remember, this stuff is powerful. It's already shaping our world. What kind of future are you going to code?